Hi, it's Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group of Premier Plus Realty, and it is the September housing update. And on my guest on this month's housing update is Cheryl Stokes from New American Funding. Hello, Cheryl.
Hello, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know about you, but housing has been good the last 5 months, correct?
Been great. Yes, absolutely.
Here in Southwest Florida, where we are, which Southwest Florida includes Marco Island as we go from the south to Naples, to Bonita, to Estero, and for us, parts of Fort Myers. And, in general, it appears, Cheryl, that people are talking about housing really pulling us, the housing market, pulling us out of this financial crisis that we've come through or we're coming through. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. I think it's something that's keeping the economy churning because those dollars are being spent on closings.
Absolutely. And as we've said many a times, it's no more important has a house been than in this time that we're in, correct?
That's absolutely true. More and more people are looking at the house that they're going to be in because there are so many things encompassed in being at home right now.
Absolutely. Well, let's just jump into it. I'm going to pull us into bear with me one little minute here as I jump into our slideshow from a standpoint of, let's see if I can do this all, Cheryl. You know how technology is awesome.
Yeah, it's our friend. Right? Yep.
So we're gonna make this work the way it should. I think. Give me a half a second here. Maybe not. Here we go. Let's see if we can make this look good. Nope, it doesn't look good. So let's make it look better here. I'm confident that there's a better way for me to do this, Cheryl, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. So let's just kind of start into it, housing update for September. This is a format that we usually follow. What are the analysts saying? So what they're saying right now, we just saw this in the news. I think it was last week, Friday, in the news, was historic low interest rates. 2.86% was what they had. Now, Cheryl, talk about that because that's not my bailiwick, it's yours.
Well, that is on average. It's going to vary from region to region, but we are definitely in historic low arena. And we are not forecasting that that's really going to change between now and the end of the year. There's a small bounce back and forth from day to day, depending on what's going on in the market, but we're going to hang right in there for the rest of the year.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. I mean, at the end of the day, interest rates are what drive our market, among other things, right?
Well, and it really provides an opportunity for a lot of people who would not otherwise be able to come into the housing market. A lot of first-time home buyers were just hovering at, can they qualify, can they not? And the lower the rate, the more buying power they have.
Without a doubt. Which, by the way, to our folks that are watching us right now, feel free to put comments and questions below, and we'll pop those up on the screen. Buying power is critical, but it's also what's happening right now. And what's happening is an article, again, last week that just went out. It said in the New York Times on September 4th, was that last week? It seems like last week, maybe it was before last week, said that 950 people are moving every day to Florida.
Yep.
To me, that is, unbelievable. Now, that's all of Florida. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, when we looked at our stats to just see if that were the flavor, our top 10 stats, New York was number one, where folks were actually, still had a property up north. And I got a tax ID since May, the number one place that people have bought from is New York City.
Yep.
And that's crazy because we used to be only a Midwestern place. For me, that's like amazing. New Jersey was like number 5, which I seem to get a lot of people from New Jersey. So these are big pockets of folks that are not that they're flooding out of those areas, Cheryl, by any stretch of the imagination. But right, we have, really great property taxes, and there is no income tax.
Correct. There are a lot of attractive things about Florida and Southwest Florida in particular. So I think we're just we're looking more and more attractive as people reevaluate the type of home they need, and as they reevaluate where they need to live. If they can work remotely and make that personal lifestyle choice, where else would you go but to Florida?
And here she is, Cheryl.
I'm back.
We were just talking about this. Florida attracting more Northerners, and really, Cheryl, you started to say not just property tax and no state income tax, but really some of the other things that are more attractive and why folks in other areas are picking us.
Right. I mean, it's a lifestyle choice. And as we discover a new way of working, work from home, remote learning, remote working, if you can pick and choose where you live, you might want to go to a more temperate climate, less dense area, something that is more tax friendly. There's a lot of reasons now to think about relocating to Southwest Florida that you just wouldn't have been able to do before.
Without a doubt. And, Cheryl, from that perspective, I don't know, you probably knew this, but I actually moved here now 18 years ago, and for lifestyle. I wanted to raise my family here. I was traveling. Maybe I was pre-COVID kind of era of people moving around, and I could live wherever I wanted to. And I chose Southwest Florida because of the lifestyle
There you go.
Family, per se, but there's a lot of reasons,
Yep.
Obviously. So as we move on from what's happening there, this was interesting to me. Now, Keeping Current Matters is one of the analysts that we at the Bartos Group look at, and this came from Realtor.com that they pulled together. But, look at what's happening with the housing market recovery. To me, that is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
We are back, where we were in February.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think anyone would have expected this at all. And I was listening to Barry Habib this morning, and there was a little bit of a report saying that housing starts were down, but it included multifamily housing. And in reality, single family starts are up 4%. So there's quite a bit of interest in new single family purchases.
I love that you said that. I look at different stats from different areas, and we'll see some of those below. But what we're seeing fly off the shelf, in this market is single family homes and lots to build a single family home.
Yep, new construction. Yep,
new construction. So interesting enough, Fox News, CNBC, I'm not sure which one, so I'm going to give them both credit. Cheryl was talking about the 3 Ps. They were talking about a pool, which in our area is a must.
Yes.
A privacy, which is a single family home. I want my own thing in this COVID generation, so to speak. And last but not least, property, so land. And that trifecta, so to speak, of those 3 things is what people were looking for. And quite honestly, we're seeing that. I mean, are you seeing that with the people that are borrowing money?
Absolutely. I see a lot more people coming in looking for that single family home with a little bit of breathing room. Now they don't want a farm, but they want a little bit of breathing room. And I am seeing that from everywhere. Maybe they're coming from Texas or Illinois or the Northeast, but everybody's kind of got the same thought process in mind.
That's right. Now, don't get me wrong, my friends that want a, multi-level, family situation where you want a condo or a villa or whatever.
Low maintenance. Yep.
Those are still moving. It's just, it seems like we got a fire sale on these single family homes, which is kind of crazy. To that end, I thought this was interesting. Again, Keeping Current Matters talks about it with Lawrence Yun, the chief economic at NAR, economist. Although housing prices have consistently moved higher when the favorable mortgage rates are factored in, and overall home purchases was more affordable in 2020's second quarter compared to 1 year ago. So we're seeing that the prices aren't moving that much. Normally when you have, tight inventory, Cheryl, the price goes up, but we're seeing them kind of stabilize.
I think they are. They ticked up a little bit, but with some of the demand, but I think they're staying pretty stable year over year. But that goes to show what the purchase power, how it changes, which I was talking about before. With the lower rates, the purchase power is higher, even though the housing, the homes are staying at the same approximate price. More people can buy at that price because they can get that loan at a lower rate.
It's pretty interesting because back in June, maybe, Cheryl, was it? When you kind of start to see that rising market, you see appraisals that aren't appraising, right?
Correct.
Talk a little bit about that, because we had a flurry of about 10% of our, we help a lot of families.
Yep.
Percent weren't appraising. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? You just shared some things with us today.
I did, and what I shared was that earlier in the year we were seeing some under appraisals, and I think there was demand, and the prices were moving higher, and the comps that we were using hadn't quite caught up to the current housing values, and those appraisals were coming in about 10%, maybe a little bit less. We were getting in lower appraisals. That has kind of gone away. So I think the market and the appraisals and the comps have all kind of come together into a more stable place, because I'm not seeing that occur as often. It's really kind of gone away here.
And I'm not sure if it went away or we just got smarter, at least on our team, because we're now going to talk to the appraiser in advance. And if that appraiser is not somebody that usually appraises. Now, we do have a lot of cash buyers, so don't get me wrong. So we're just talking about our finance buyers and sellers that are getting a finance situation. But, honestly, we're going to meet them. We're talking to them first and then going to meet them to make sure that we're, going to get the right kind of appraisal, which we weren't doing a little while ago because things were not having a problem. So I guess the good news is, now we're appraising, but I'm glad to hear that from your perspective, it's happening because across more than just our team.
Yeah, I think really the new values and the comps, which appraisers determine their values from, just had to catch up to each other.
Yeah.
We had such a flurry there for about a month, maybe 2 months, that they just weren't meshing. And now as the market settles, the pricing is kind of matching the asking price and the selling price are kind of matching what the comps support.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I thought that was interesting. Now, Cheryl, you touched on this with builder starts. Talk about this slide. I mean, again, this is Keeping Current Matters slide, but they're getting this from the NAHB Housing Market Index. And what they're seeing.
Yep, housing starts are up 4%. I think that interest is there. And there was a recent Bank of America survey where 89% of the people surveyed are motivated to buy right now. And I think a large part of that's going to be new construction if they can get it.
Yeah, we have all sorts of markets down here in Southwest Florida, but for our luxury and our second home market, those folks, they've been there, done that. They don't want to go in and do a project. They want it to be the way they want it. They want it to be fresh and clean.
Yep.
And so we're finding a number of them are wanting to build just because why should we do this project that we don't want to do? Now, for my folks out there that, have a house to sell and not from a seller standpoint, we're still selling a lot of houses, but it's kind of weaving and bobbing, I would guess, would be the best way to say it. Okay, so, Cheryl, what's happening in our area? This is a slide that I often love to show about pendings, because pending is the leading indicator of a sale, right? An active listing, then a pending is kind of the health of the market. And what we're seeing here is this, these are by weeks. You can see again, somewhere in, right about March, April timeframe, we bottomed out. And then, we've climbed back up to just, a few weeks ago. I can't see that without my glasses. We were above our February, or right at our February numbers. Then we popped out. But Cheryl, the thing that amazes me the most on this particular slide is May through where we are mid-September is usually a quiet time. Like, I would never expect it to see these kind of peaks in numbers for our entire market, ever.
Right. I think that again goes to the fact that we're meaning public at large, are rethinking what we're going to do moving forward. And we're planning that out now. And from May up until now, people were planning that before school started. Where are they going to be? Where are they going to live? Where are their children going to go to school? What is school going to look like? So there was a lot of movement over the summer to get themselves situated for the upcoming fall and winter.
Yeah, in the primary market for sure, but we did not see our secondary and luxury market go down. As a matter of fact, we helped twice as many people from May to today that we did from May to this time last year over a period.
Second home buyers that want to spend the winter here. Yeah.
Yeah, that want to winter here. They want to just in general, and they were a combination of second and first time, but the majority of our clientele, aren't first time home buyers. They may be moving for school or moving out of an area, but my goodness, I've just been blown away by what has happened this summer. And we don't see that. I mean, we're sitting on the 17th, and as of this morning, we had already helped over, 20 some odd families in the month of September. And we're in, I had a seller the other day, Cheryl, say, well, I was told by so-and-so that, I should wait to put my home on the market until January when people are down. And, it's always interesting to hear who so-and-so is and their opinion, right? Because it is so far from the truth right now, because people can get here, or they're buying, we're seeing over.
They're buying virtually. They're not necessarily here. And I've stated this many times this year. I think out of all my buyers this year, maybe a 10th of them have been in person. The rest have been virtual. I mean, we're not meeting in person like we used to. No. We're doing things, online. We're meeting virtually. You're doing virtual showings as our other realtors. I mean, there's just not that many people arriving and looking at properties.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking about that today with our team, and they said just that. They said, well, I haven't been doing a lot of in-person showings. My number of showings per purchase is down because people are making faster decisions. They're shopping online. And then they're, able to make a decision pretty quickly because, again, they want to not winter somewhere else. They want to winter where we are.
Right.
So the pendings are showing us that, which I think is very fabulous. These are the active listings by month. Now, the really fuchsia-y color, which we love here in the Bartos group, is 2019, and the aqua color is 2020. You will see the trend is a little bit similar, that we usually peak up, and this is January through September. We do peak up with listings in these first couple of months, and then people start to buy and they come down, or they take them off the market. But you can see in general, we are significantly off the number of listings in Southwest Florida that we would normally carry. Now, people say, Mary, is it, really? Look, you still have, what is this, 16,000, and, how can there be a shortage of inventory? Well, it's interesting when you spread that out, Cheryl, over things like, they're looking for a specific condo and a certain price point, or they're looking for a luxury on the water. They can't find what they're looking for that meets their criteria. And so inventory is low. What we're seeing, even though these are the they're lower than what they were in 19 for sure. we're seeing that consistent. What do you think about that?
That's what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing frustration from approved buyers that they just can't find what they want, or when they find it, there are 9 offers. So that tells me that listings are low and inventory is tight. Now, there's going to be extremes one way or the other, depending on the price point, the area, etc. But
Right.
overall, in general, listings are low and inventory is tight, and there's high demand.
Without a doubt. You hit it on the head. As we go into the next slide, which I think you're going to love, Cheryl, are you a horse betting person?
I am not, but I like to watch them run.
Okay, so I will tell you the trifecta is, when 3 great things come together,
Yep.
and if you pick, for those of you that are horse betting people, you pick and you box the top 3 horses. Now, I'm not at the horse races every weekend, don't get me wrong. But I do like me a good horse race, I guess. So I will on occasion go, and I like to win. So I like to gamble a little bit. It's not a problem. I'm just in case anyone was worried about it. We have lots of problems here. No. But it's getting those 3 things together for that ultimate win. And what I will tell you is what we're seeing right now is what we just talked about. We've got historic low interest rates. We have low inventory, and we have 950 people a day moving to Florida. And when you look at this, I think it's called a histogram. Isn't that what it's called, Cheryl?
Yes.
So, like every time they come up with one of these things, and I was a math kind of gal, but I'm like, okay. But this perfect center area is just so amazing. That makes it a strong seller's market. Now, are we getting 100 offers on every property? No. Is your property going to sell in minutes? We don't know. I mean, the market's fickle, but it's interesting to see that it is truly, we haven't been in this position for a very long time. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. And if you are thinking about selling, now's the time. I wouldn't wait around and think that there's going to be a better time in the future. This is pretty much it.
Without a doubt. And I love that, this trifecta that we have established. So what are we doing right now? Well, I guess we're not doing anything. Sorry about that. I guess the real question is it time to move? I can't think, as you just said, Cheryl, of a better time. Can you?
I really can't. I think if you're looking to buy, now's the time to buy. If you're looking to sell and upsize, downsize, now's the time to sell. I think for both sides, it's historic, and it's time to at least investigate it and see what your options are, for sure.
And, for those of you that are concerned about, if you're in the property, how's it going to be with COVID? We've crossed that bridge. We can virtually show, we can show on a 3D walkthrough. We can take videos to limit the number of people that are only going in your house that are super interested in your home, right? From our buyer standpoint, we can virtually show you these. You don't have to get on a plane or drive down. If you don't want, we can take the first couple of levels of, determining whether you want this house or not.
Right.
By doing it online. So as you said, Cheryl, I think that there is no better time right now. Now, of course, you and I are in this industry, and some might think that we're a little prejudiced on this point. However, I keep going back to the fact of my first house, first 2 houses. The first one I think I bought at a 10% interest rate, and the second one I bought at closer to 13%, maybe 14%.
My first house was 13.5% negative amortization. So 10 years later, when I sold it, I owed more than I originated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the times are completely different. The opportunities are completely different. And we are in the business and we are motivated to do what we do. But I know you feel this way and I feel this way. My clients come first, and what's in their best interest come first. And I think if you're properly guiding them. It's not all about the sale. It's all about doing the right thing for that client and helping them find, one, the home that they love, and two, the best financing option for them that makes financial sense.
I love that you said that, because you can buy more now with the same amount of money, or have a less payment for the amount you were going to buy, whichever works for you, right?
Right.
Put more in your pocket and or ride that appreciation train. And I hope this lasts for a long time, because, you know, my own kids are moving up, and one's already owns a home. He's a homeowner at a very young age, and the other two will be shortly behind him, because I feel that dirt is always a great value, and can't
Absolutely.
be a better time, Cheryl, to buy than right now.
Yep. It's a great time to start out and build that family wealth that we all know comes with home ownership.
You know, we've got a question. Awesome graphic to show this historic market moment. Thank you, our histogram gal. And Shaughnessy Green, so interesting that so many people are coming to Florida. Thank you. It is kind of amazing with that. And, you know, so if you're thinking about selling, you know, you got the people coming and the time is good. And maybe it's time to move on to something different that your love is. So Cheryl, I know I keep wrapping it up and I keep talking more. Shockingly. Any last parting thoughts?
I mean, my only parting thought is, if you're interested, do your research. Call Mary, you know, get the information on the housing market. Call me. I'm going to lead you to the right loan product, and just do your research. I am always willing to serve as a resource and help people just decide kind of, you know, what is going to be the best financial path for them, and whether now is a good time. But I feel confident that it is a good time if you're interested in buying or selling.
I love that. How do they reach you? Want to give them your phone number?
Yep, you can call me on my cell, 207-249-9933. I do answer my phone nights and weekends, because I know that's when buyers have questions. So they can feel free to call me anytime.
Absolutely. And again, I'm Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group of Premier Plus Realty. And this is your housing update for September of 2020, along with my guest, Cheryl Stokes from New American Funding. And we wish you a great day. Call us. We'd love to help you buy, sell, move on to the next place.